Good morning. I'm Gary Harbin. I'm the Executive Secretary of Teachers Retirement System, and it's my great honor to be presenting to you this morning along with a number of the staff that are going to be transmitting information to you here shortly. Normally, this is the time of year we love to get out across the state and meet with you. But this year, the coronavirus had another idea, but we're still here to give you the same factual information. And we're still here every day to take care of your retirement and medical insurance needs. So don't hesitate to contact either me or any member of the staff. Do you feel like you've been in a sitcom? If you've been on some of these Zoom meetings and things, and you saw this screen of the Brady Bunch? Well, I feel like I'm talking to the Brady Bunch every morning whenever we hold our morning meetings. This is our version of the Brady Bunch. You can see all of our staff meeting around in the mornings. We go through every day what we're doing, what's the latest issues we have, all those type things. And that is, we're doing that mostly from home. We have some folks in the office, but we haven't opened the office up for live visits yet. But we certainly are there every day for you. Haven't missed a beat. And that's all been working just perfectly. Our IT department's done a great job, and we've been able to continue on. And we have, of course, meetings, inter-staff meetings and that sort of thing throughout the day, whatever it takes to get the job done and make sure we're getting the checks out to you and taking care of your medical benefits and taking care of investing the assets that we have. And we have some great news about those assets and about our ability to do that. You know, we've been doing that for 80 years. It's quite amazing. I first started working with the retirement system in 1975, and this system hasn't missed a beat since it opened its doors back in 1940. Interestingly, we have a number of people that are still with us. We have 10 folks that are still with us today that were there when we opened the doors in 1940 that we're sending checks to each month. Isn't that amazing? This is a look back. These are the faces and the folks that took care of you back from 1965. And these are images from our CAFR or our financial statements back in 1965. The faces have changed, but the processes and all of the activities that were done in 1965 are being carried on today. And with the advances in technologies, we're able to carry those on efficiently, keeping our total staff count down because of the abilities of computers now to take care of many of day-to-day tasks that were carried on manually back in 1965. And what you'll see is the competence and the elegance of carrying on the day-to-day job back then is carried through to today. We certainly enjoyed working with you in 1965, in 1975, and on through to today. We enjoy what we do, we enjoy who we work for, and we're here for you. So our response to the coronavirus has been remote counseling. It's been keeping up with you with website videos and with our websites, with Twitter and Facebook, all those things. And we will continue to do that. We're going through the worst pandemic that we've had in over 100 years, but things are going along normal here at TRS. The next slide here is, you can see we have coronavirus updates that we post and keep current on our website. All the ways that we're working with our members during the pandemic are summarized on the website under our coronavirus response update page. So if you've got any questions about the coronavirus, you can get on our website and look at it, but give us a call also. And when you call us, you'll notice that we have a person answering the phone. You don't have to step through a decision tree, and we have a person there that can answer the phone, and most cases answer your question right on. Our call center is manned during the day, and we're really glad when you call us and ask questions. Carrying on the theme of consistency, let's look at our assets since 1941. You can see that very few assets under management up through until you really don't see a blip on the radar until 1961 compared to today. And we didn't hit $1 billion until in the late 80s. It's when we hit a mid to late 80s, we hit $1 billion. And today we have over $20 billion in assets just in the pension plan alone. Our investment performance over the past fiscal year and since the Great Recession has been absolutely outstanding. There's no other way to describe it but outstanding. You can see that the average pension plan, and there's nothing wrong with being an average pension plan. You've done a great job if you can stay average as an investor. The average pension plan with the assets under management that we have would have earned $10.9 billion since 2008. And that's a 12-year period. We've earned $14.5 billion. So you can see we've outperformed the average pension plan by $3.6 billion since 2008. An outstanding job by our investment committee, by our investment team, and by our outside investment experts that we have helping us manage your investments. Unbelievable, unbelievable. We're tops in the nation in our investment performance, and we'll get into that in just a second. This next slide shows you our returns. For the 1 year period, we had a 5.8% return into June 30th. That is in the top 5% in the nation of public pension plans that have over $1 billion in assets. And you can see that our rankings since over the last 10 years, we're in the top 3% in the nation over the last 10 years. And over a 30-year period, our pension plan has been able to return 7.98% compounded gross return over that 30-year period. Our assumed rate of return is 7.5%, and even with the market downturns over the last couple of years, we're staying above the 7.5%. You know, with rankings like this, I think it would be good to turn the next few slides over to Tom Siderwitz, our Chief Investment Officer, and let him talk about how these types of returns were achieved. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Harbin. I think consistency and continuity of process are two of the main ingredients that's helped TRS achieve the 7.98% compounded gross return you see there on the slide. The next slide, TRS asset allocation history, will kind of go through how this has worked over the last 15 years or so and illustrate the consistency we've had in our process. And while we've been consistent over 15 years, that doesn't mean we've been standing still. If you go to the third line down where it says total stocks, you can see that for most of the last 15 years, our total stocks have averaged a little over 60%, right around 60. And in the far right column, you can see our target for this fiscal year is 62% in total common stocks. However, as you can see from the two lines above that, our domestic stocks were once the whole package of our total common stocks, and our international stocks, we didn't have any back in 2004. However, as international markets got more efficient and most importantly, the cost of investing internationally has gone down, we added that as a diversifying asset class. You can see that we started in 2006, we were up to 2.4% international stocks and have gradually grown that over 15 years to now approximately 22% of the portfolio is international stocks. So we've gone from 100% domestic stocks for our whole stock portfolio to about 2/3 domestic and 1/3 international. But we've done it over a very consistent and methodical manner over 15 years, and it's worked out very well for us. The next thing you'll see down is fixed income, and you can see that fixed income has shrunk as an asset class in the portfolio, and that's because interest rates obviously have gone way down compared to where they were, say, at the turn of the century. What we've done with that is we've diversified into several asset classes, withdrawing from fixed income, letting that go down a little bit, and then looking at better opportunities in other asset classes, including real estate, alternatives, which is private equity and timberland, and additional categories, which is kind of a catch-all bucket for us, but now has different fixed income type products, bank loans, high yield bonds, more than your standard investment grade fixed income. We've taken each of those categories to roughly about 7%, depending on when you measure it. And fixed income's gone from 33.4 down to 15%. But all of this was done in a very consistent manner with a lot of continuity over different staff members, different people, different CIOs, and different investing environments. The next slide, TRS approach, kind of goes over some things that we don't do. One is we don't use placement agents. That's someone you pay a fee to bring you an investment idea. When you manage over $20 billion, the investment ideas tend to find us. People know where we are. We don't use hedge funds. Hedge funds is just a way to get low returns with too high a fee. All our fees are disclosed annually and quarterly on our website. So every fee that we pay to an investment manager or investment consultant is listed in our annual report. One of the best ways to help your investment performance is keep the cost down. You can see on the next slide, transparent low fees and investment costs. Our investment fees are about 0.31% per year. So comparatively to other pension plans, that's very low. That's very low compared to most investments in general, but certainly most, our peers and most other state pension plans. I consider that's very low, and it's truly helped the investment performance over many years. So I hope that shows a little bit about what we do and how we maintain consistency through the investment process and through different time horizons with different staffs and different investing opportunities. Thanks for listening, and with that, I'll flip it back over to Mr. Harbin. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That's great performance, and I want to speak to all of you out there now about that performance and a direct correlation, and you've heard me speak of this before, that your board structure is directly related to our performance and our ability to invest in the manner that we do. Allison Wright is our chair. She's an active teacher. Hollis Gritton, a retired bank president, is our vice chair. Bill Alverson, a retired bank president, is on the board. We have 2 ex officio members on the board representing both taxpayers and teachers. Allison Ball, our state treasurer, does a great job for us, and she's very, very keen on transparency. John Boardman, investment expert. Kevin Brown, our other ex officio member, is the interim commissioner of education. Frank Colecchia, an investment expert appointed to the board. Brenda McGowan, our retired teacher representative. Lynn Patterson, Dr. Patterson, is an active teacher. Laura Schneider, active teacher. And Josh Underwood, active teacher. And this has been our board structure for many decades. The only time we've had a board structure change was to add 2 more experts to the board. So you can see we have a very strong governance for the investment process and for the administrative expense process. Now let's look at the administrative expenses of the system compared to other public pension plans. And these are a percent of liabilities because public pension plans are funded to different levels, but all have liabilities out there that would make us comparable. So you can see that we have the lowest of all of this group at 0.03% of the liabilities are our administrative expenses. The thing that you don't see here is that there's really only 3 of these plans that manage retiree medical. Think about that. We're managing pension and medical. These other plans are just managing pensions for the most part. Us, Ohio Teachers, and Kentucky Retirement Systems manage both pension and medical. So we're doing both pension and medical more efficiently at less cost than all of these pension plans that we're compared to, that the board compares us to on an annual basis. Very important is our trustee election coming up each spring, and you always hear us talking about how important that is. So whenever you see that a ballot come in the mail or you get that email that you can vote electronically, I encourage you to participate doing that. That is your right. That is That board structure is what gives us the ability to be able to carry these benefits out and to do the great job that your staff and my staff do for managing this pension plan. Now we're going to get into member benefits, and for that we'll turn it over to Becky Neese. And Becky, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Harbin. In large part, TRS is able to provide retirees benefits because of the investment earnings that Mr. Harbin and Tom have been talking about. If a retiree lives the average life expectancy, investment earnings will pay 70% of that benefit. If they live beyond the average life expectancy, investment earnings are going to pay even more of that benefit. So one thing you can rest assured that you are going to receive a lifetime benefit no matter how long that you live. Now this slide is the last slide, but it's about investments and how they relate to your benefits. So this is a slide about TRS cash flow and over a 34-year period. Now if you look at that beginning balance, it's $1.8 billion. Add in member contributions, employer contributions, you have about $22.5 billion. Investment income alone is over that. Investment income alone is 26.5. Then you subtract out all the benefits and the refunds that we have distributed, and then you still have an ending balance of over $20 billion. That could not happen without investment earnings. Now you've probably heard of negative cash flow, and you've probably heard some negative conversation about it. Well, that's because when negative cash flow is calculated, it doesn't take investment earnings into account. And actuaries tell us, hey, mature plans, particularly ones like TRS that have been paying benefits for 80 years, can expect to have some degree of negative cash flow. Our retirement plan is growing. It continues to grow. So TRS currently has over $20 billion in assets. And that's important because not only is it our duty by law to provide you a benefit, but we also provide it to an at-risk population. Every year we have more and more retirees that are over the age of 80 years old. This year, as of December 31st, we had 7,006 retirees, 34 of which were over the age of 100, well above that average life expectancy. When you look at the at-risk population, 73% of our retirees are women. That's over 7 out of 10 of our retirees are women, and that's because women live longer than men. So TRS benefits not only protect those that live beyond that average life expectancy, but also our older women population, which are no doubt on a fixed income. Now, that benefit is a huge economic impact on the state of Kentucky. So that's a whole lot of money going into the state of Kentucky. 88% of our retirees live in the state of Kentucky. However, they receive 91% of that $200 million. So this results in about $2 billion annually paid into the state of Kentucky. This slide shows you the amount of the pension benefits and the number of recipients per congressional district in the state. Here's a favorite KRTA slide. Now this shows you the pension benefits for each KRTA district. As you can see, it doesn't matter what region you live in, retired teachers are plentiful and they're receiving a nice benefit to return to their communities. This chart shows information about how benefits are paid. So the left-hand side is the number of retirees, the bottom is the amount they receive, and the right-hand side is the number of years that they worked or their years of service. Looking at the blue bars, our tallest bar shows that 6,699 folks are receiving between $35,000 and $40,000 per year. Now, as you can see by this chart, that orange line represents the years of service. So as that orange bar goes up, the benefit amount goes up, but the amount of people that are receiving it goes drastically down. So to summarize the chart, for fiscal year 2020, 50% of our retirees received $40,000 or less. 87% of our retirees received $60,000 a year or less. So those above $60,000 a year worked more years. They actually averaged over 30 years of service. So everyone has been asking, did you have a whole lot more retirements this year? Well, actually, this year, at least this summer, our retirements were down a little bit. But overall, you can see that retirement stayed pretty steady from fiscal year to fiscal year. Now, of course, we saw a decline in our visitors because we closed our office to visitors due to COVID-19. However, we're still meeting with our members. We're just doing it virtually now. So this chart shows the number of retirees by age at retirement. Now, it might surprise you that in 2020, the average age of our retiree was 59 years old. There were almost 4 times as many retirees that retired over the age of 65 as there were that retired under the age of 50. So you'll see the 2 highest bars here. One is age 55 and one is age 60. So people that have 27 years are choosing to work until they're age 55 because they get to calculate their retirement on the average of their high 3 salaries. And then those members that don't have 27 years are choosing to work to age 60 because there's no penalty at that point. So this chart shows us that people are willing to work longer for a greater benefit. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jane Gilbert, our Director of Retiree Healthcare here at TRS.